Have you ever built an AI demo that felt like pure magic, just absolutely amazing, only to watch it completely fall apart when you tried to take it to production? Yeah, if that sounds familiar, you've hit on the core struggle so many of us are facing right now. This battle between what feels like random, messy alchemy and structured, reliable engineering. So let's dig in and figure out how to bridge that gap.
This quote from Chroma's founder, Jeff Huber, it absolutely nails it. It's that feeling, like you're not really building anything, you're just stirring this big pot of code, crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. It's the sheer frustration of having this brilliant demo that just becomes a brittle, totally unpredictable system in the real world.
And this really lays out the two worlds we're talking about. On one side, you've got alchemy. That's the pot stirring, the unpredictable results, the stuff that feels like magic but breaks if you look at it wrong. And on the other side, you've got engineering. That's a methodical process, something that builds reliable systems based on solid principles. For any serious project, the real goal is making that leap from the left side of the screen to the right.
Okay, so how do we actually make that shift? Well, it all starts with a mindset, a philosophy for how you approach building things. Let's take a look at the principles that guide a company like Chroma, which is, just maniacally focused on solving this exact problem.
What's so interesting here is that these aren't just technical rules, right? These are cultural values. It's about having your own strong point of view and not just chasing the latest hype. It's about valuing real craft and quality, even if it's a bit slower. And it's about focusing like a laser on the developer's experience because that's what ultimately leads to great products.
This right here is the core idea. It means being intentional matters everywhere. From the lines of code you write, to your documentation, to how you design your office. When you commit to quality in one small area, it just bleeds into everything else and builds this culture of excellence. Great engineering isn't just one thing, it's a holistic approach.
All right, we have the philosophy down. Now let's get into the key technical discipline that actually puts all of these engineering principles into practice.
If we want to build like engineers, we need clear, precise language. And that brings us to one of the biggest, most common buzzwords in AI, a term that, according to a lot of top developers, is actually holding us all back.
The big problem with the term RAG, or retrieval augmented generation, is that it mashes three totally separate ideas into one messy, confusing package. It's been watered down so much that a lot of people think it just means doing a vector search, which completely misses the whole point of the real engineering challenge.
A much better, more precise term is context engineering. This really elevates the work to what it is, a critical, high-status job. And the goal is simple to say, but incredibly hard to do. Get only the most relevant, most important information into the language model's context window for every single task. Nothing more, nothing less.
And why is this so critical? Well, it's because searching for an AI is fundamentally different than searching for a person. Think about it. When we search, we get maybe 10 blue links, and we can kind of sift through them and figure things out. An LLM, on the other hand, can read thousands of documents in a split second, but it needs perfect relevance. Any extra noise, any irrelevant info can throw the whole thing off track. And this absolute need for perfect relevance introduces us to the villain of our story. It's a very real problem that every single AI developer is up against, whether they realize it yet or not. I mean, we've all seen the marketing hype, right? These massive context windows, the needle in a haystack tests where a model finds one tiny fact in a sea of a million tokens. But as this quote points out, that perfect score on some benchmark test does not translate to the messy real world, and assuming it does is a really dangerous mistake.
In fact, a lot of research is showing the opposite is often true. There's this phenomenon called context rot. And just look at this chart. As you stuff more and more information into the context window, as you go from short to medium to long, the model's ability to actually pay attention and reason correctly just degrades. Sometimes it degrades dramatically.
So the huge takeaway here, the thing to burn into your brain, is that treating the context window like some infinite dumping ground is pure alchemy. The real engineering work is making sure every single piece of information you give that model is of the highest possible quality and relevance.
So, if just stuffing the context window with more stuff doesn't work, what does? Let's flip from the problem to the practical, data-driven solutions that really define the engineering approach.
Look, anyone who tells you they have a magic solution for your AI app without even looking at your data, they're practicing alchemy. Real engineering begins and ends with data.
If you aren't constantly evaluating your system against real data, you're just flying completely blind.
The engineering approach depends on what's called a golden dataset. This is your own custom benchmark built from your own stuff. You create these high-quality test cases from your data, and then you can quantitatively measure every single change you make to your system. You can actually prove you're making things better, not just guessing.
And once you have that dataset, you can start confidently testing more advanced patterns. This is where it gets really cool. You can use multi-stage processes, like use a fast, simple search to grab a few hundred candidate documents, and then use a really powerful LLM as a re-ranker to pick out the absolute best 20 or 30 for the final context. This is what sophisticated context engineering actually looks like.
Now, this deep commitment to data and methodical improvement, it's not just a technical choice. It actually connects to a much bigger idea about why we build things in the first place.
Just think about that for a second. We've kind of moved away from building things that are meant to last for generations, like the old cathedrals. But that mindset of building with a real purpose, with a long-term vision, that is exactly what the engineering approach to AI is calling us back to. It's about building systems with conviction, systems that are meant to last and improve over time.
And that's really the message here. Building great AI isn't about stumbling on some magic trick. It is the result of a deep, foundational commitment. A commitment to your craft, to your purpose, and to the hard, methodical work of serving your users with true excellence. It's about making the choice to be an engineer.
So the question for all of us who are building things is pretty simple. In this world that's swirling with AI alchemy, with all its promises of easy magic and instant results, what will you choose to build with real intention, with craft, and with purpose? What will you choose to engineer?